All right, welcome to tonight's Augusta Planning Board meeting. Thank you all for silencing your cell phones. A reminder for all who will be speaking this evening to speak directly into the microphone so everyone can hear your comments. Please address all questions and comments directly to the board members, and we'll attempt to have all your concerns addressed. There are 3 items on our agenda this evening, and all 3 are public hearings. The procedure for the public hearing will be as usual. Betsy and Eva will present the application. The applicant or representative will speak next. We will then take public testimony. If you choose to speak, please state your name and address, and a reminder to address your comments to the board. We will first hear from those in favor of the proposal, then against, then neither for nor against. Once all the public testimony has been heard, the applicant will have a final say. The public hearing will then be closed and the planning board will deliberate. No further testimony will be heard unless specifically requested by a member of the board. As mentioned in our last meeting, we had 2 board members who gave their resignation as they've moved to different towns. We are actively seeking applicants to fill their seats. Betsy and Eva, we're ready to begin.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eva Nielsen, and I'm the Assistant City Planner. The first item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing for a conditional use application of the City of Augusta to construct a bicycle pump track at Williams Park. This is Assessor's Map 39, Lot 75, and it's located at 11 Quimby Street in the Medium Residential District, or RB1. The applicant has established right, title, or interest in the form of a deed. The applicant submitted an application for a conditional use review, supporting materials, including a narrative and some additional technical and financial information. And since the city is the applicant, there were no fee payments for the application, the public notice, and the abutter notification. So as staff, we completed direct mailings to abutters within the required notification radius of 500 feet. We posted legal advertisements in the newspaper, and we notified the planning board, city council, the board of zoning appeals, and other interested parties. We also installed 3 signs on the property. So based on this review, Augusta planning staff, we recommend that the planning board make a positive motion regarding the applicant standing to apply, the completeness of the application, and the sufficiency of public noticing in order to go ahead with the more substantive review.
Thanks, Allison.
I move that we find the application is complete, as the applicant has sufficient right, title, and interest to apply and has submitted all necessary materials. Staff has provided the abutter notifications as required by the ordinance.
Kathy, thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you.
So planning staff have completed a staff review and a draft findings of fact and conclusions of law document for this review, which we've posted on the website and we've shared with the planning board members and the applicant. For this application, the applicant proposes to construct a 3,250 square foot pump track just to the east of the existing skate park, or a little closer to Pearl Street. And for anyone who isn't super familiar with a pump track, it's a continuous loop of rolling concrete hills where riders can build momentum by shifting their body weight rather than pedaling. It's designed for both recreational and skills development, and it's commonly used by bicyclists, but can also be used by other wheeled equipment. And it's intended to complement the existing skate park, offering a different type of experience, and the applicant can elaborate on that as well. And the pump track would be generally accessible during the existing park hours from dawn to dusk. So parks is the conditional use requiring planning board review. And just before the presentation, regarding the history and the previous permitting, the site was once home to the Williams Elementary School, built in 1890, named in honor of Augusta resident and U.S. Senator Ruel Williams. The school closed in 1980 and was torn down. And in the meantime, the site has been used for recreational purposes, and in both 1998 and 2000, the planning board approved improvements to the park. So going to the presentation now, this is a satellite image of the property. You can see the lot in the orange outline there. Bangor Street and Pearl Street run north and south on either sides of the lot, with Quimby Street to the south. There are a mix of uses within the 500-foot radius, including residential uses, retail, business, and professional offices, and others that we noted in staff review. So here is a little bit closer in to the lot. You can see all of the different features on the lot currently. The entrance is to the south off of Quimby. You can see the existing pool to the south and the playground just above, and the parking lot closer to Bangor Street, 2 basketball courts, and then the skate park, which is toward the northern property line. And the pump track would be located just east over here. Moving on to some photos. This is an image standing within the park from the northeast corner of the existing skate park. The land behind is where the pump track would be proposed, and Pearl Street is behind those trees in the background there. Here I'm just facing southeast from the skate park. And just to show you some of the different features on the site through photos, here's the driveway off of Quimby Street that leads to the parking area facing south from the parking area. The pool is to the left or east of the driveway. And this is, for some context, an image facing southeast from the driveway entrance on Quimby Street. You can see some of the area residences, and the pool building is just inside the fence there. Here, same location, just facing west, the opposite way toward Quimby and Bangor, the signalized intersection. You can see some of the existing vegetation here, which would need to be supplemented to meet the buffer yard A requirements, the entrance monument as well. Here is the parking lot, and beyond the parking lot, in the background, you can see the western basketball court, or the basketball court closest to Bangor Street. And as a condition of approval, codes recommended that we add an ADA compliant pathway extending from the parking lot over to the pump track area. Now, a closer view of that western basketball court that's close to Bangor Street. And Damon's Beverage is just beyond, to the north. The skate park is kind of northeast in the background as well. I'll just make a note here that the existing light fixtures around this basketball court would need to be updated to the current Illuminating Engineering Society of North America, or IESNA, recommended practice standards for outdoor recreational areas. And for this item and the additional landscaping and the ADA pathway, we did add a blank space in the draft conditions and that may allow for an extended timeline based on the availability of city funds to complete these improvements. And in speaking with Earl Kingsbury, Director of Community Services, who's here tonight, 3 years might be sufficient, but that can be part of the later discussion. And I'll add that if the lighting upgrades are made after October 1st of this year, the fixtures also need to comply with the new state law resulting from LD 1934. And this is something that can be worked out administratively when it's feasible to make those changes if the planning board is amenable to that path forward. So moving on. This is from the western end of that same basketball court facing east. You can see a portion of the playground, the skate park, and the open space leading to Pearl Street. Okay. This is the western corner of the skate park facing southeast. The concrete paved area of the pump track is estimated to be about 1/3 of the paved area of the skate park. And now just looking from the middle of the park, facing south at some of the other facilities, the eastern basketball court and the playground, the pool is just south of that. Just panning a little bit north, that light fixture that's kind of in the middle there, that one does comply with our ordinance standards. It's just the two by the basketball court that do not. And then just an overall view from Pearl Street. You can see the open space and the existing facilities, and again, the pump track would be kind of just over here. And I just took a couple of slides from the applicant's packet. So we added a condition that the applicant collaborate with the Engineering Bureau and the Greater Augusta Utility District on replacing the existing field inlet with a catch basin. And we have this photo montage of the digital feature of the pump track superimposed on an aerial photo. The green area is just grass, and the gray is the concrete surface. And this isn't necessarily to scale. It's rough. And then a scaled aerial image with the graphic overlay again. So just while we're on the last slide, I'll make a few closing notes and go through our other draft conditions of approval. Oops, I'll go up a little bit. So the fire chief recommends maintaining the emergency access off of Bangor Street. So a Knox padlock is needed and is included as a condition of approval. And the existing parking does exceed standards. So we're all set on that. And then the project is utilizing CIP, or Capital Improvement Program funds. We noted this in the financial ability section. And so the funding was approved by City Council as part of the budgeting process. And as mentioned earlier, certain items may be completed as part of the next funding cycle if approved by the planning board. And I think that's all for the staff review.
Any questions for Eva? Okay, let's hear it from the applicant.
Good evening, Planning Board. I'm Earl Kingsbury. I'm the Director of Community Services with the City of Augusta. And I have with me here tonight Chris Hogan. He's one of the co-owners of Nor'easter Skate Park, who has put this plan together. So I'll start with, in 2024, the City of Augusta had a Parks and Rec Master Plan completed to evaluate the current assets, assess shifting community needs, and prioritize capital improvements. So basically, a best practices of and are we filling the needs of the community? I think it was back in 1996 was the last time one was done, so we need to get an updated copy. An assessment of each park, trail, cemetery, school, and green space was conducted, along with public outreach. An interactive website was created, 2 public forums, and a community-wide survey was distributed. The study found that Augusta is rich in parks and green space, and we really don't need any more. I think per capita, the national average is 77 people per acre. The City of Augusta has 13.5 people per acre of recreational space. So we didn't need to create any more space, but we needed to improve the sites that we had, improve the existing facilities that we have. And there were numerous ways to do it. One of the suggestions was adding, some trees and shade trees and more plantings in the parks. The existing pools needed to be repaired, but one of the recommendations was to add a pump track adjacent to the skate park that would complement that park. I think if I look at that Parks and Rec master plan that was done, we've been working on it now for about 2 years. If the next 3-year cycle with the CIP is approved, we will have 95% of that plan completed. So Augusta's in a really good shape when it comes to what's offered, but there were just some recommendations that we could improve upon what we do have. And the skate park was the next thing on the agenda. I think in the next 2 years, I'm looking at an outdoor fitness center, so I'll be back again.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? All right. Oh, yes, Kathy, go ahead.
The catch basin upgrade, is the cost of that included in your budget?
The cost will be included in the budget, yes.
And the buffer yard A plantings are included in the budget?
They are not included in the budget at this time, and that's why we were going to ask for some additional time to work on that.
And my third question has to do with the exterior light fixtures. Eva said that only 2 of those fixtures needed to be replaced. The rest of the lighting complies with the standards. There's not enough money in the budget to do those 2
I'm
heads.
not sure at this point. I may have to look at a different avenue for the lighting, just because of the type of lighting that we may have to put up there. It's actually quite costly to put lighting up, so
Do you have estimated costs for the things that are not in your budget?
I don't have that yet. No, I don't.
Okay.
Any other questions? Sure.
So what time frame are you looking at to get those 2 items done?
Well, I was looking at 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years before you can start on either one of those?
I don't want to guarantee anything any sooner than that without knowing first. I'm confident that I could get that done in 2 to 3 years, but I don't want to promise any sooner than that. I can't guarantee it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, you'll have the last word. We'll open it up to the public.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak for the project? Is there anybody who would like to speak against the project? All right, is there anybody here who would like to speak neither for nor against? And you have the last word? Okay, thanks. All right, so that closes the public hearing portion. Let's hear what our board members have to say. Nate?
I'm good with the project. I wish you had just a little more firm number on the lighting, but I get it with city budget. Other than that, I don't see any issues with it.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah, I also don't have any concerns with the budget. I think it's a good idea for the space.
Okay, thank you. Allison?
I have no problem.
Harold?
I have no problem, but I just think that if you had the money to do all that concrete work and everything else, that the lighting and the trees and the shrubbery were not included in that. So now, God knows, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road before anything like that gets done. So I don't have an issue with it, but that's the only issue I have is with that right there. Thank you.
Kathy?
Well, they have 2 years to start the project, 5 years to complete it. And if you go by the date of the approval, I'd be willing to suggest perhaps a year extension to get the other things that aren't in here funded, because they're important. You know, the ADA is public-oriented, the lighting is public-oriented, the landscaping is public-oriented. And so we've got the uses here for the athletes who want to use this, but we don't have the things that every other project in Augusta is required to do. So I'd be willing to give no more than a year. That would give them the ability to start the project, but they got to get that other stuff done timely, and it'll keep some pressure on.
Okay, thank you. And Bob?
I guess I'm thinking about the same way that Kathy's thinking. I was thinking 2 years because we can only go out 2 years from the approval before they have to start something on that stuff. So I'm good for either 1 year or 2 years, but don't go beyond 2 years for that.
Does anybody have any other comments on those suggestions Kathy and Bob suggested, or preference one way or the other?
Well, I'm fine with the 2 years.
I'm fine with 2, although I would prefer 1.
Yeah, I'm good with the 2-year extension.
Yeah, I'm fine with 2 year also.
Okay. Is there a motion? Kathy?
The matter of Quimby Street Bicycle Pump Track, conditional use application, findings of fact and conclusions of law pursuant to the provisions of the City of Augusta Land Use Ordinance. City of Augusta Planning Board has considered the application of the City of Augusta, including supportive data, staff review comments, public hearing, testimony, and related materials contained in the record. The planning board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. The applicant proposes to construct a 3,250 square foot pump track east of the existing skate park. The recreational facility will consist of a looping circuit of banked turns, rollers, and other features designed for bicycles and other wheeled sports equipment. The pump track will have a maximum height of 4 feet and operate during existing park hours from dawn to dusk. The applicant and owner is the City of Augusta. Right title and interest is ownership is by deed. Location is 11 Quimby Street. Zoning is medium-density residential and local business. Tax map number is map 39, lot 75. Existing land use is parks, conditional use. Proposed land use is parks, conditional use. The acreage is 4.4 acres, and this has previous permitting as described in the findings of fact prepared and drafted by the staff. I agree with the conclusions of law as stated by the staff in the draft findings. I have no additional findings to add. The following conditions shall be met prior to issuance of a permit from the Code Enforcement Bureau in order to satisfy land use ordinance criteria and planning board requirement findings. The applicant shall coordinate with the city engineer and the Greater Augusta Utility District regarding the catch basin upgrade needed to accommodate the additional improvement. The applicant shall maintain emergency vehicle access along the westerly side of the park as shown on the previously approved plans by installing a Knox padlock on the existing gate. The applicant shall provide buffer yard A plantings along the southern and western boundaries of the parking lot. A landscaping plan shall be submitted to planning staff for approval, and all required plantings shall be installed within 2 years of this approval. Exterior light fixtures that do not comply with IESNA recommended practice standards shall be replaced or upgraded within 2 years of this approval per section 300-603.E6A and D. Any replacement or upgrade completed after October 1, 2026 shall comply with the state requirements for public outdoor lighting, including standards for outdoor sports lighting where applicable. Proposed lighting specifications shall be subject to review and approval by city staff. The applicant shall provide an ADA accessible pathway from the parking lot to the pump track to be installed no later than 2 years from the date of this approval. The pathway design shall be subject to the review and approval by the city staff according to section 300-603.E3C. Project shall commence within 2 years of this approval and shall be substantially completed within 5 years of the date of the planning board decision unless a permit extension has been granted by the board. Deviation from this approval is subject to code enforcement action and potential legal proceedings per section 300-601 of the land use ordinance. That's my motion.
Bob?
I would like to make an amendment if possible. On number 4, on the lighting, I'd like to have that 1 year, not the 2 years of the other. They should at least move ahead to the lighting that's not being, not in compliance.
I'm fine with that.
Okay? I'd like to,
Sure. Does everybody agree with the recommended amendment?
I was good with 1 year on all of them, so I was fine with that.
I know. I'd like to second the amended motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And at the beginning, I didn't mention swapping item number 2 with item 3. I'm not sure if that would break everybody's heart or not, but it seems like we have a fair amount of people who would like to, who are here for the third agenda item. Okay, seems good. We'll do that.
All right, so we're moving to item number 3 on the agenda. My name is Betsy Poulin. I'm the city planner. Good evening, members of the public, applicants, and the planning board. So The item number 3 on the agenda is a public hearing. It's a major development and conditional use. It's the application of Kennebec Savings Bank to construct a new building with drive-throughs and parking areas. This is Assessor's Map 33 lots. Lot 135, which is 150 State Street. Lot 148, which is 15 Western Avenue. Lot 241, which is 145 State Street. That's located in the Kennebec Business District 2, KBD 2, Institute Business and Professional Subdistrict, BP, and the Medium Density Residential District, RB2. So this, the applicant has provided right title or interest in the form of deeds for these properties. They submitted the application form for major development and conditional use review with the supporting materials, a letter of authorization, and payment of the application and abutter notification fees. They provide a narrative addressing the ordinance requirements and plans addressing the required site elements for architecture and the site. So planning staff determined the submission was complete. So the application was distributed to the planning board and posted on the city's website. Staff completed the public noticing as outlined in the ordinance, which included direct mailings to abutters within 500 feet of the property. There were 2 legal advertisements in the paper. City council was notified, the planning board, board of zoning appeals, and interested parties, and 5 signs were installed at the properties. Staff recommended to the planning board to make a positive motion regarding the applicant's standing to apply, application completeness, and sufficient public noticing in order to proceed with a substantive review of the application.
Kathy?
I move that, that the applicant has right title and interest to proceed with the project. The Planning Bureau has provided all the necessary public notices as outlined in the ordinance and collected the required application and public notice fees for the project review.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, very good.
Okay, so as staff, we posted, as I said, the application on the city's website and also a staff review that goes through all the standards in the ordinance and draft finding of fact and conclusions of law, which the board can use as a guide for their decision-making process. It's just an outline. The board is making their own decision tonight. As I said, the request is for a major development and conditional uses review. The applicant proposes constructing a new building with offices and financial services, including 4 drive-through lanes. The building has a 6,745 square foot footprint and is 6 stories high, plus a basement totaling 86 feet high. The height exceeds the 56-foot height permitted in the Kennebec Business 2 district. However, the conditional use review allows the planning board to permit an increase in height. Vehicle access points from State Street will remain unchanged, with entrance only to the north of the existing facility and exit only to the south. The 2-way driveway access on Chapel Street is proposed to be relocated closer to Western Avenue. 1 exit-only driveway on Western Avenue is also proposed to be relocated to be closer to Chapel Street. Driveways accessing the former John Calvin Stevens Building lot at 15 Western Avenue are proposed to be eliminated. The existing parking lot is proposed to be reconfigured and expanded to serve both existing and proposed buildings on the property. Additional employee parking is proposed to be expanded on a separate property also owned by Kennebec Savings Bank. The employee parking lot is located to the northeast of the site across State Street, north of Chandler Street. 5 parking spaces on that property are for use of the building relocated, which was relocated from 15 Western Avenue. And a waiver to reduce the quantity of parking spaces required from 212 to 174 proposed is required. A reduction of setbacks is also required for underground stormwater structures along Western Avenue, which can be reviewed through the conditional use process within the KBD2 zoning district. A retaining wall proposed along Western Avenue will require review by the Maine Department of Transportation and approval by the Director of Development Services due to the proximity with the 4-lane highway. So up here on the screen, I've got a photo that shows where the property is located. So here's Kennebec River and Memorial Bridge. This is Memorial Circle here, Western Avenue going out this way. Chapel Street is here. State Street is here. So the lots where this is like the employee parking lot is over here. This is Monument Park. This is the existing building. The proposed building would be kind of in this area. So this map also shows there's a Winthrop Street Historic Overlay District, which is this yellow outline here. So you can see it includes all of this employee parking lot and a portion of the lot behind where the existing bank building is. So because of this, any changes to the architecture or the site would require review by the Historic Preservation Commission. This map shows the zoning in this area, which is, you can see there's a convergence of zoning. So the lots are outlined in yellow on this property here. So this is where that employee parking lot is. This tan is the Kennebec Business 2 district. This lot here is the other lot where the remainder of the work is happening. So this pink is the Institute Business and Professional. This is Kennebec Business District 2. And then this is, the yellow is RB2, which is a medium-density residential. This red is local business district. So between the historic districts and just all these other base zoning districts, there's just a lot of different zoning and land uses and everything converging right at this spot. Here's an aerial photo that zoomed in a little bit closer with the property, so you can see the lot over here where that employee parking is proposed, where there's already some now. This aerial photo doesn't show the relocated John Calvin Stevens house, which was right here. So this is 15 Western Avenue, which was brought over here and put here. That is going to be a separate lot where that building would be, and then additional parking would be configured here with this entrance for parking. The parking lot would be two-way, and this one would also be two-way as well. You can see on the aerial there's a crosswalk across State Street, which employees could use to come to and from this parking and come down into the site. This is the existing bank building here, which would remain as it is. There's an entrance on the north side of the building for one-way traffic coming into the site, and there's an exit for one-way traffic exiting the site to the south of the building that goes out here to State Street and around the circle. Currently, there is a two-way driveway access to Chapel Street out here. So as I said earlier, this driveway would actually be relocating a little bit further towards the south, towards Western Avenue. There's right now a driveway here, and there's one over here for this lot. This is a one-way exit out to Western Avenue, and the proposal is to relocate this a little bit further here to the west. It's almost at the location where this existing driveway is. This aerial also shows there's a kind of highly used pedestrian crossing here in that area of Chapel Street, which the team can get a little bit more into the details of that, but this is sort of the general overview. Kennebec Savings also owns this building over here, which is a historic the Grange building, I guess you could call it. So that lot is not part of any of the reconfiguration of the site. It would all be just within this property here. Here's some photos out from the property. So this is looking across Chandler Street to the north. That's that relocated building and where that driveway entrance is to the employee lot. This is looking to the northeast, sort of towards Water Street, into that proposed employee parking lot. And then this is more, you can see the Kennebec Savings Bank building on the left coming into view here across State Street. This is that exit from that employee lot looking north on State Street, and where that existing pedestrian walkway is across State Street. In the staff review, I noted it seemed like maybe if this is going to be such a highly traveled spot for employees, maybe some additional features like a bump out or something should be created in this area to just improve safety, if that might be an option. This is looking to the west across State Street at that same crosswalk, and looking to the south towards Memorial Circle. This is looking into that parking lot for employee parking, looking towards the east. So you can see there's a residence. That red roof is a garage in the background there. And then this is looking to the west out of that parking lot. The Roncalli apartment buildings are here, Governor Hill Mansion here. And then this is that, that Grange building, which Kennebec Savings owns, and there's the Kennebec Savings building. So now I'm on the east side of State Street, looking back kind of to the south on State Street at the property and panning over towards Memorial Circle. So the new building would sort of be kind of in around this area where that tree is. This is the exit drive that currently exists at the site on State Street, so this would remain unchanged. So it's looking south on State Street towards the circle, looking north on State Street, and then this is out that driveway towards Monument Park, and then looking into the site. I also noted in the staff review that if there were employees walking from that parking area across State Street, it might be good to have some better pedestrian amenities to get them into the site. I know the applicant stated that people could come in the front of the building and go through the underground tunnel to the new building. That's something the board can discuss. This is the entrance that's on the north side of the building, so looking south on State Street, looking north on State Street, and then looking into the site. So this would remain unchanged as well. Same comment here, there's just no, people, if they're coming into the site, would just be walking out where cars are driving currently. A little more into the site here, this is I'm actually probably on the Grange property here to the north. This is looking to the west, and there's the existing drive-through here. So that drive-through canopy would be removed in that ATM building as well. This is a little further to the west in the site, looking towards the west. So this is that northern property line looking out towards Chapel Street. And I'm going to pan over towards the north into the site just to get some of the context here. This is looking out the existing driveway towards Chapel Street. So as I said, this would relocate a little further to the west. To the south, to the left. And panning through the site, this is looking north at the existing building, out the driveway exit, and then into the site. So I know some of the comments, the board is going to be considering the height of buildings, so you can see in some of these images some of the existing context, which is also in sometimes different zoning districts. The Northern Mattress building across the street is about 3 stories. I don't know the exact height of it, but this is on Chapel Street looking to the north, and then panning over to look towards the east into the site. So this is that neighbor on the northern property line. And then you can start to see where the fencing is the Kennebec Savings Bank lot, and looking to the south on Chapel Street. So I move a little further down Chapel, looking into the site. Closer down to Western Avenue. So where this vehicle is approximately where that exit, that two-way exit will be coming into Chapel Street. This is that intersection of Chapel Street and Western Avenue, so you can see where that pedestrian crossing is there. Looking into the site, so that there's that driveway there would be eliminated for the new building. Looking east on Western Avenue, across the street, you can see the federal building in the background. So that the architect stated it's about 85 feet high, which is about what Kennebec Savings is proposing for their building. In the staff review, I gave you the footprint of that building. You can kind of see in here the footprint of the building actually comes way out here towards Western Avenue. So the footprint's larger than, I guess, the area that's the 85 feet of that building. And in the area, you can see the context. There's still some peaked roofs, there's flat roofs. It's a little bit of a mix along Western Avenue. Looking east on Western Avenue, this is approximately where that driveway exit to Western Avenue would be located. About here, this is looking towards Memorial Circle. Oop. It's way behind. Need better Wi-Fi. Great. There we go. Thank you. This is Western Avenue. Is it? Ah, weird. One is and one isn't. Okay.
That one looks frozen.
Yeah. Oh, Eva's maybe the IT expert. Yeah, so anyway, so I'm just going down to Memorial Circle and looking back around. So the staff review, I go through all the standards in a lot of detail for each of the zoning districts. As I said, there's going to be discussion. The board can talk about the height. The architect is going to give some description about the building and the height that's changes that they're requesting. I also note that landscaping is shown on the plans, and the applicant notes that buffer yard A standard would be met in that area, but the plans just kind of, that don't really specify exactly what would be out there. So because of that, there's a proposed, a recommended condition of approval to just have that reviewed by staff prior to issuance of a building permit to make sure that all the buffer yard A requirements are met for that landscaping. The Winthrop Street Historic Overlay covers part of the property, so obviously issuance of a historic preservation certificate would be required for prior to construction. And also, I want to note that the original plan had some parking in the RB2 district, which was medium-density residential, and that was removed from the site plan. If the applicant wanted to construct parking there, they'd have to do a rezone of the property, either as a general rezone or a contract zone, so.
Betsy, can you repeat that?
I'd say if you looked at the plans that were on the website initially, there was some parking proposed in that RB2 zoning district, which I can pull up the plan. And that was changed because parking is not allowed in that zoning district. So right here, in this area, this is
Okay.
residential zoning. So there had been parking in this area, but now it's just, the parking spaces have been pushed out of that space. So if they wanted to have any parking in that, they're gonna have to change the zoning on that portion of the lot to allow that. So I will let the applicants kind of go through this site plan. I talked a little bit about it, but we don't need to repeat everything over and over. I'm trying to think what other items that I brought up in the review. Main DP stormwater permit application has been submitted, so that's under review, and I listed that as a proposed condition on the approval. I have a proposed condition for additional sidewalk connectivity to Chapel Street, State Street, and Chandler Street. With the design and review could be approved by city staff. I mean, the board can talk about that with the applicant as well. The parking waiver, they'll talk about that. I did forget to put the typical condition that any work within the right-of-way should be approved by the city engineer. That should be added in as well. I think I'll leave it at that, unless anybody has any
I have a question for you, Betsy.
questions. Yeah.
In the review process, as far as the sight lines leaving the property, it had a recommendation that the parking on Chapel Street between the exit and the corner be eliminated.
Correct.
How would that actually, what would have to happen for that to happen?
So the process would be the traffic calming committee, which is within city staff, would review that request and make a recommendation to the city council. And the city council would have to change the ordinance, which outlines where parking is allowed or not allowed in the city. So the city council would have to decide that.
For follow-up?
Sure.
Follow-up. I didn't recall seeing any other information about how the parking there is used, how frequently it's used, and what kind of impact that might have on the neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah. I could have the city engineer
get
come
it.
up. I could have the engineer come up and talk about that, or unless you want to wait until after
I'll
the
let the applicant talk
presentations.
about it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's their study.
Okay.
It's more of a question for Tyler. According to his letter, I did not see his recommendation in regards to the 174 parking spaces, whether he found it reasonable or that he'd recommend approval of it.
Can you
Has-
talk
has
into
he
your
come-
Can you talk into your microphone?
Okay. In regards to the parking, Tyler, in your letter, there's no recommendation by you on that. What is your recommendation on the 174 requests and the effect of it?
I'd say I did talk to him. Yeah, I did talk to him since it wasn't in the letter, but we didn't have time to revise the letter in time. So I wrote in there that maybe I didn't change it in the letter, but he is okay with that waiver request.
And basically, part of the reason why it's getting cut and everything is because it cannot allow parking in that district that they say they were. Is that a main reason for a cut?
Site.
No, I think the original plan they submitted had parking in the residential zoning district, but they have just redistributed it through the site plan. So there's areas that have smaller islands in the parking lot, areas that had more landscaping, but now there's parking instead. So I think, yeah. So there's still, the first plan that was submitted had 174. This plan has 174. So there's no change, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Allison?
Yeah, Bessie, I just have a funny question. You constantly refer to it as a 6-story building, and Jim constantly refers to it as a 5-story building. It's 86 feet tall, and I understand that, but probably for consistency, we ought to decide if it's 5 or 6.
Yeah, so I can pull up it is 6, because, I mean, they were calling it a glass room on top. It's basically, there's the elevator, where the top of the elevator equipment is on the roof. They're like, well, instead of having that just sitting on the roof, they're going to put a room up there
Right.
so that it's more aesthetic and usable and whatnot. So that is the sixth
floor.
story, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. It's the applicant's turn to add anything additional that Betsy didn't already cover.
Pardon?
Well, good evening, Madam Chair, Betsy, thank you very much for going through all of that, and to the board. I have a new appreciation for all of you, having reviewed the 534 pages that you had to review, what you all have to go through. Slideshow, thank you. There we go. Let's see, we had a public meeting at Lithgow Library in December of '25 where we presented our basic plan to the public. We invited all of the neighbors within 1,000 feet of our facility. We got some feedback, a little bit of feedback at the meeting. Overall was reasonably accepted, but then we did get a few items afterwards, so we have modified. So I have a presentation this evening that I would like to go through. It's materially what we did at the Lithgow Library public meeting with some changes as a result of that. And so I'd like to just go through that. My name is Andrew Silsby. I'm the president and CEO of Kennebec Savings Bank, and I've been at the bank in December will be 33 years. I cannot believe that that much time has gone by. I've actually been in banking for 40 years. Craig Garofalo has been with the bank for 22 years, and he's looming over my shoulder. I can feel him. And he's been at the bank for 22 years, and again, the chief operating officer. So the two of us are going to basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are. I think you all know, but I want to make sure that we underline that, and I can't ever miss an opportunity not to talk about that. And then essentially Craig is going to talk a little more about why we are doing what we're doing, because there are reasons. This has been nearly 15 years in the making from our first concept of trying to do that. So it's not perfect, but we've been spending a lot of time on that. We've also put together a great team of folks that have helped us, and they are going to come up and speak to some other elements, so I do hope that we can answer all of your questions with our presentation. I assume that Jim Coffin is known by all of you and needs no introduction, but Jim and Diane Mabito is going to come up. Diane does traffic work, traffic study for us, and can answer a lot of the parking and traffic flow. She's done an enormous amount of work for us and appreciate that. And then, of course, Tom Platts has joined us. He is our architect and in many respects took what our sort of verbal vision of the building and turned it into something real, which we appreciate. So our agenda this evening is I just want to spend a few minutes talking about a brief history of Kennebec Savings Bank. It is, I think, pertinent to where we came from and how we got where we are. I want to spend just a minute talking about the city of Augusta and our impact on the city. And then the project overview, Craig will kick off. Jim and Diane will come up, and then Tom, and then we're certainly available for any questions. Sound okay? All right. Most folks in Maine know who Joshua Chamberlain is. He is a Civil War hero here in the state of Maine. What a lot of folks don't know is when he came back a Civil War hero from commanding the 20th Maine at the Battle of Gettysburg, he was voted governor 4 terms in the state of Maine. And in January of 1870, he gave a speech about the importance of banking in January of 1870. And it was a riveting speech for those of us who are in banking, because he felt more banks needed to be formed as a source of capital to finance the rebirth of the nation after a divisive civil war. And the reason I mention that essentially is that Joshua Chamberlain, because of that speech, some citizens in Augusta got together, heard it, and were so inspired they decided to form Kennebec Savings Bank. So they went to the Maine legislature, had an act passed by the House and the Senate, and Joshua Chamberlain signed that act into law that allowed us to be able to be formed, for them to get together and to kick off. And 2 months later, they opened. From the speech to opening, 2 months went by. I don't think acts at the legislature go through that fast in today's world. But it is true. These are a couple of pictures. On the right-hand side is actually the original bylaws of the bank that were written on March 19th, the day that we celebrate our anniversary. And it's very hard in this particular picture, but on the left-hand side is actually the original ledger book with Miss Priscilla Hallett, who deposited $100 into the bank on April 1st of 1870. I think I have now breached privacy law by disclosing how much money she put into the bank, but I hope her heirs will not take me to task in terms of that. We are very proud of our history. We do actually have every ledger book all the way back from 1870 all the way to 1995, when we became computerized in 1985, so I have a lot of appreciation. All right, we are down on Water Street in Augusta, and we are essentially sitting in front of the soup kitchen for the Bread of Life soup kitchen, and we are looking, what I say, back up Water Street, and Hartford Station would be up in the middle in the fog between those two sets of buildings. And most of the downtown was rebuilt after the fire of 1865, and we were part of the rebirth of that rebuilding of the downtown. So on April 1st of 1870, we were formed with one desk on the second floor of Freeman's National Bank, which was on the right-hand side of the block of buildings there. I think that's the Sturgis and Haskell building. I do want you to note that that Sturgis and Haskell building has a curved front to it. Tom, you can speak to that a little more clearly, but that will come back in some of our design works. I don't really know the connection to Freeman's National Bank. We were hitched to their wagon, pun intended, for a period of time. And Freeman's National Bank moved to the other side of Water Street, a little further up in the building next door to Cushnock Brewery. It's a little bit taller. You can see it in that left-hand side in 1892. And then in 1918, Freeman's National Bank failed. We lost our big brother. I don't know why, and we were connected to them, but we needed to find a new location for the bank. And so we ended up in this building, which is fondly referred to as the Opera House. It's also referred to as the Capitol Theater, where there's a lot of conversation about the Colonial Theater, but this is the other end of Water Street. This building no longer stands. It is the city park, one of Earl Kingsbury's parks. I think the Greyhound bus station was there for a little while. I'm dating myself from that standpoint. But if you can't really see it in this picture, but the black sign has gold leaf letters in it. This is a photograph of a postcard, but it says Kennebec Savings Bank. So we were on the corner of Water Street and Winthrop Street, down at the bottom of Winthrop Street, which is where that building stood. And so in 1958, we bought a piece of land up on State Street and decided to move the location of the bank and own our own property, because all of the time before that, up until 1958, for nearly 90 years, we had rented space in somebody else's building. And so in 1959, we opened a state-of-the-art banking facility on State Street. This picture is pre-1975 because of the billboard law, but this is an original ad that ran in the Kennebec Journal talking about the bank on the circle. FDIC insurance in those days was $10,000 for your savings account. That is the first drive-through window in the city of Augusta, so we were leading technology in 1959. And we essentially have been on that location ever since. And again, this all becomes sort of pertinent to sort of the why that Craig will get to. We bought the Tappan Viles mansion that is on the historic register in 1986. It was built by Benjamin Tappan and then also named by the Viles family because Blaine Vile raised a family and was the last known family to be raised in that building. It had become commercial office space, and we ended up purchasing the building. And then in 1990, we built a massive addition that we call the lobby building, which is built in 1990 and attached essentially to the, well, not essentially, but attached the Tappan Viles mansion to the 1959 building, and that is that 1959 building. I've superimposed the front of the building on there just so you get a sense of where that building is. That is the headquarters of Kennebec Savings Bank today, and some facility that we are incredibly proud of. It will continue to be the headquarters of Kennebec Savings Bank, and again, Craig will get to the whys. This is a little distorted, sorry about that, but I did want to spend just a minute on our commitment to the city of Augusta. As you can tell, I'm very proud of our history. I grew up about 500 yards from our headquarters where my office is today in the early years of my life, and Augusta's near and dear to me and to our team. I think Joshua Chamberlain would be extremely proud that we have $177 million in commercial and residential mortgage loans in the city of Augusta. And I don't think he ever would have imagined that encouraging banks to be formed, that we would have this kind of impact. We have over 8,500 deposit accounts, and those total about $236 million. We pay just shy of $200,000 in taxes, and if you all approve this and this building is built, I think our tax bill is going to go up, and we're happy to pay that and continue to invest. We have 140 of our 207 employees that work in the city of Augusta. So we have an operations center that is located up at Civic Center Drive, where North Park Grill used to be. That's where everybody seems to know. And we have been making some changes to that facility and putting a community room in there for the community to be able to use. And so we're pretty proud of that. One of the things I'm most proud about is our success has allowed us to give back to the community. And last year alone, we gave $475,000 to 94 Augusta-based not-for-profit organizations located here in the city of Augusta. So we try immensely to be a good corporate citizen, to participate in everything that's going on in any form, whether we're volunteering of our time or volunteering or donating dollars, or our employees are raising dollars. And I just think that's an important segue into where we are. I'm particularly proud of this. I have a lot of things I'm proud of, but this is my time at Kennebec Savings Bank, so it goes back. This is our growth rate. They measure banks in terms of their assets. And in 1993, we were $158 million, and we are now $1.8 billion, closing in on $1.9 billion. And we have just experienced tremendous growth. And I don't want to steal Craig's thunder, but that is part of the why in terms of this particular project. We have 7 locations. We are a very large institution with only 7 locations, but essentially we're on I-95 from Waterville all the way down to Portland, and continue to have immense amount of success. So in summary, from my portion of the presentation before I turn this over to Craig, we were chartered in 1870 by a legislative act by Joshua Chamberlain. We're a mutual organization, and I didn't spend a lot of time on that, but we have no stockholders. Nobody personally profits from the success of Kennebec Savings Bank. I get a salary just like everybody else at the bank. That's it. We don't have any stockholders that profit from the institution, and I do think that that is a structural difference that makes us different than a lot of institutions. We've expanded, as I mentioned, to $1.8 billion. It might come as a surprise that we are the 10th largest Maine-based bank in the state of Maine. And little old Kennebec Savings Bank, there were lots of banks that are headquartered in the city of Augusta, and we are the last to be headquartered here and are very proud of that. I did want to spend just a couple of seconds on Bauer Financial is an organization that rates financial institutions in the country. They have a 5-star rating system, and we have received their highest rating, which is a 5-star rating for 150 straight quarters. That's just shy of 38 years consecutively. And there are less than 4% of the banks in the United States that have received that rating for that long a period. It speaks to the safety of the institution. As I mentioned before, nobody personally profits, so when the bank does earn income, that income stays at the bank if we don't give it back to the community, but it makes us stronger in ability to be able to weather the next financial storm. All of our board of directors and our leadership team live in the state of Maine, who are local here and deeply committed. I know most of you probably know a lot of our board members. And in closing, for my part, we are looking to build a building for the future, but that will last 150 years. And my hope is that someday the Historic Preservation Group will say that is a historic building. So we want this to be iconic. And I think Tom Platts has done a phenomenal job at putting that together. So I'm going to turn it over to Craig, and we will clearly be available to answer any questions. So thank you for indulging me in a few minutes in a history lesson. Craig?
Okay, thanks, Andrew. So like Andrew teed up, I'm going to spend just a couple minutes here on the why, and then Tom, Diane, and Jim will get to the how. So like, I just want to present why we need to do this, and then they'll explain how we want to accomplish solving the challenges we have in front of us now. So Betsy touched on this, and I just want to spend a minute on this. I started, Andrew mentioned, 22 years ago. I was actually there a little bit further, and I worked in the drive-up. So Betsy showed a picture of our drive-up. So if you're coming off State Street, you come into that facility. It's a very narrow driveway with the Grange, and then there's a left turn into the drive-up. And if anybody's a customer, I know from working in the drive-up, it's a very confusing process to figure out that there are actually 2 lanes you can work in there. And we oftentimes will spill our traffic. Our queue will come back out onto State Street. A lot of times because it's a single file lane when it could in fact be a 2-car lane. People can't see it. We've had almost some scenarios where customers got very angry about people cutting them off in that area. The sight lines as that comes in, and if you look at this map coming off State Street, took that right, getting into that drive up are not good. So we are trying to solve, one of the things since I've ever worked there is trying to solve for that queuing problem. One, we want to keep the traffic off the public thoroughfare, but two, just to make it less confusing for our customers that we're here, we don't want you sitting in a line, we need to solve for that issue. We've also lost more than a few tires on the curve coming out of that drive up, so that angling is not ideal. So we'd like to move that drive up and get all that queuing and stacking to happen within our own location. I think so that's showing that sort of path that a car would take as it's coming in present day. Second to that, this building, and Andrew mentioned kind of how this happened, but this building was designed in the late 80s and built in the 90s, and it was connecting to existing structures. They did a phenomenal job of fitting that all in there. But the bank lobby is oriented in a funny way, and you come into the building today, and there's nobody directly in front of you. So we're also trying to solve for some wayfinding of our customers when they're actually coming into the facility, which will be a little bit less of your concern, but just want to make that on note that this will help our customers that are parking and coming in to know, once I'm at the building, where do I go? I open the door, and it'll be clearly in front of me what I need to do on that location. So we're working within this existing site. I think Betsy sort of touched on this already, and I don't want to repeat anything more just out of time, but we are going to try to move this facility, and Jim and Diane are going to come talk to how we're going to do this, how we'd like to put this on the site to locate this, to maximize and solve for those challenges. This building, the question that came up earlier on the size, 6 stories, Andrew mentioned growth. We've been growing, which is a great challenge to have. We've also been in the intersection of every other business in the world in the last 5 or 6 years, where we have a lot of staff that are now migrating, I would say, a little faster back to the office. So we have space considerations. As we are getting people in at the same time, coupled with growth within the organization, we're running out of office space, and we need space to put people in seats in the facility. Right here in the city of Augusta would be our preference to do that. We're actually maximizing, Andrew mentioned, our North Park facility up on Civic Center Drive. That building is full, which is great. This building is also full and will be brimming once we get everybody back into the office. What's amazing to me, when they built that in 1989, they built this lobby and then leased out floors 2 and 3 because we were small, and the idea was, hey, we're going to build it and we'd like to grow into it. This building that we're building now is maybe a little bit bigger than we need today, but that sort of thought process of the folks who did this before us is something we want to take in mind, so we would have room to grow as the bank continues to grow and move forward here. So our goal is to put this in a space, keep everybody on kind of the same campus, and get that traffic consideration to be happening all within our own property location. So how we intend to accomplish that, I'll turn it over to Jim and Diane to kind of talk that through. And like Andrew said, we'll be available for questions too.
Evening, Jim Coffin, Coffin Engineering. I'm here with Diane Morabito. Thanks for having us. How are we going to run this? Oh, thank you. Beautiful. So I'm not going to bore you to death. The utilities coming off Chapel Street, like water and electric, and sewer going to Western Avenue, stuff like that, I just told you. So Betsy's 100% right. We did submit a plan that had parking in the RB2 district. Our intent is, after we possibly get this approved, is to come back and rezone that area and then repurpose that parking lot, pick up that space that we've left behind, and put some more pedestrian connections in there. If you park during this construction job, the employees will be in that satellite lot, if you will. And I don't know how to use this pointer here, Betsy. Huh? No pointer? Okay. So during construction, that whole satellite parking lot, 145 State Street, it's going to be brimming. And we're going to use the crosswalk there, but we're going to enhance it. We're going to put blinkers there, and those are called RFPs. Thank you, Diane. The flashing lights, so none of the employees from the bank get run over or anything like that. Once they get on the other side of State Street, the first door of the mansion that you run into is the employee entrance, right on the right, after that drive-through lane that's currently there today to get to the drive-up window. The employees can enter into that area, that door there, and they have a couple choices. They can work in that building, or if they have to go to the other building, they can certainly use the tunnel that's beneath the surface that connects the two buildings. Also, we don't anticipate anyone but employees in that lot, so they're all going to know where they're going. And if you do have a stray customer that happens to park there, they certainly can use the sidewalk on State Street going to Western Avenue and into that front entrance. We do intend, when we come back to you in a few months, to add some pedestrian crosswalks, if you will, in those red shaded areas that we can't develop today. Does that make sense to everyone? We submit a photometric plan that shows we just have a tad too much lumens on the north property line. I think it was like 0.8, and you can only have 0.3 adjacent to a residential district, or residential property, I should say. The landscaping we show here is all Buff Yard A. Buff Yard A is what's required, and I think we all know that when Kennebec Savings puts their mind to landscaping, you know it's going to be done right. And right now, we've got that out to 5 different landscape architects, if you will, who will come up with plans, and we're going to pick the best plan for the internal landscaping that will be put in there around the parking areas and just to enhance everything. Stormwater treatment, very big on this project. We had to do what's called a redevelopment here because we reached a threshold that we couldn't turn back, and it was time for them to bite the bullet. There's a large underground system just to the east of the new building, and what that is for is stormwater quality. It's called Storm Tech, and it's a system that basically delays the water, the runoff going into the system so the other runoff can get ahead of it so we don't have flooding occurring. And then we have several Filterra units throughout the site. These Filterra units have trees growing out of them, and what they do is they treat the quality of the stormwater. And we also have a jellyfish unit, which actually treats the building's roof. That's all stand-in-one units. They all treat stormwater, and like Betsy said, right now that's at DEP. We don't anticipate having that permit much before October. So our groundbreaking is going to be right around that area of October. It might give us time to come back and do our rezoning prior to that if we get approved. So I'm going to let Diane talk a little bit about traffic right now.
Diane Morabito from Sewell Engineering, and I did the traffic impact study. If I can get to it. So we start a traffic impact study by looking at the number of trips the project will generate, and in this case, it's the change in site trip generation. So this is done using Institute of Transportation Engineers book rates, and according to those book rates, during the AM peak hour, there'll be 55 new one-way trips. That's 50 in and 5 out. And during the PM peak hour, it's 61 new trips, 9 in and 52 out. State traffic movement permit is not required from DOT since we're fewer than 100 new peak hour trips. We did turning movement counts during both the AM and PM peak hours at all the existing site drive intersections. We did them on the same day so that we could determine exactly how much traffic entered and exited the bank. And we also counted the intersection of Chapel Street and Western Avenue. And then we were able to actually compare the trip generation that ITE gave us versus the actual measured trips. And during the AM peak hour, ITE says the existing site should be generating 95 trips, but they were only generating 67, so we were 29% lower. And during the PM peak hour, ITE estimated 164 trips, and we actually were only 84 trips. So we were 50% lower than what ITE says. And this is typical right now because bank rates have gone down with all of the mobile banking and people are not going into the banks that often, so bank rates are declining. But given this, all of the traffic study analysis is expected to be quite conservative because we use the higher ITE numbers. One of the most important things we do is trip assignments because they define our study area. And usually that's any place where you have 25 to 50 new trips in a lane, and we don't really have that occurring here. Because the trips are split between multiple drives and multiple directions, there's really no significant impact or large study area. We basically just studied the site drives and the Western Avenue Chapel Street intersection. We looked at capacity analysis. This is where we look at level of service, which ranges from A to F, much like a report card. All the site drive intersections operate at level of service A now, and they will continue to do so after the project is completed in 2028. And Chapel Street at Western Avenue operates at level of service B in the AM peak hour and C in the PM peak hour, and it will continue to operate that way after the project is completed. So these results showed that we didn't identify any capacity concerns, and we expect similar operations pre and post development. We also look at safety analysis in a traffic study. We use DOT's crash data to look at high crash locations, and we did crash data for an extended area or a larger study area surrounding the site. And there were 2 high crash locations. One is Memorial Circle, which has been a high crash location for as long as I can remember, which is a long time. And then the intersection of Western Avenue and Chapel Street also. So we'll talk a little bit about those. Memorial Circle, long-standing patterns, rear-end collisions on the approaches, angle collisions entering the rotary, and side swipes in the rotary due to lane changes. The KSB project isn't expected to have any significant impact on this, again, beyond their drives as shown by the level of service analysis. And they're also proposing some minor improvements to the intersection of Chandler Street and State Street, which should mitigate any impact. More concerning was the intersection of Western Avenue and Chapel Street to me. There were only 10 crashes, but 3 of them involved pedestrian crashes crossing Western Avenue. Those were concerning, but my understanding is the solar rectangular rapid flashing beacons that are there now were not always functioning when they were called. And so the city just recently upgraded them by doing a hardwired system, which should address that issue. And the lights should flash, and that should improve that condition. Driveway sight distance is always important. We talked about this a little bit. Driveway sight distance will be adequate, but we do recommend you don't want parked cars either side of your driveway because they can block sight lines. So we did recommend that parking be prohibited on that east side, just in the vicinity of the drive to assure good sight lines. Parking needs also we were asked to look at. Again, we utilized ITE. ITE reports 2 different sets of average results. One is just a straight line average rate, and then the other is a fitted curve. And using the average rate, the site would need 190 spaces, but the fitted curve result, which is usually the better result, was only 154 spaces. So what I recommended was the average of the 2 results to be conservative, which means the site would need 172 spaces. And pretty much that's it. I don't think there's any need for me to summarize it again, so we can move on to architecture.
I just want to make one comment. Once we do add in that parking, we'll be right around the 190, if you will, down the road, just so everyone knows that.
Jim,
Yes. Sorry, Bob.
couple things. In regards to the letters from the police chief and the fire department, they made recommendations.
Yep.
Yeah, how was those responses? Like the one for the police department had to do with the fencing, the lights coming off of Memorial Circle and stuff.
So what we did with the drive-up lane, if you will, we planted evergreens, or we haven't planted them. We show them on the plan. If you look, if I could get the plan back, sorry. You could see it right when they're running parallel to Western Avenue, right before they're gonna take the left of the drive-up window. We have a whole bunch of evergreens there to shield the headlights there. And on top of that, we're also gonna have more plantings, obviously, around the circle like they do now. We just can't put a lot of big trees over our stormwater system, if you will, so we put them on the other side of it. And what was your other question, Bob? I'm sorry.
At the fire department, and I've been trying to find it, they also had concerns that it needed to be answered in the letter he sent back to you guys.
What was that? I don't have it in front of me.
I'll go to find it.
I think there was some reference to whether there was going to be a need for an additional hydrant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about. So I reached out to Chief Groder, and I sent him an email. I said, Chief, Betsy wanted me to reach out to you, and if you need a fire hydrant either on site or around the site, we'd be glad to put in, and he never responded to me. But that did happen.
Okay.
I'll follow up with him at some point. He's usually really good about same day getting back to you, but this was 2 weeks ago. But we have no problem adding a hydrant.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what was coming up. Well, I guess we should probably start out with the building itself, since that is what came up first. I think Andrew spoke to how we are trying to incorporate this building into the existing field of historic buildings and some not historic buildings. We've paid a lot of attention to materials that we use, stone, brick. We've mimicked some of the late 1800 and early 1900 architecture with some curves and arched windows, as well as the soffits at the top of the building, all fit closely with what was used in that era. In terms of the height of the building, this is probably one of your best shots of how that works. We've got 5 stories of kind of conventional offices, and then that upper story really is no higher than the elevator shaft would have been anyway, and that's being enclosed for an employee kind of place to eat, place to relax, give them some views, kind of to get away from the office atmosphere. The nice thing about the 6th story of the building, as you can see, it's pulled well into the center of the building. So your sight line of that is very limited. You have to be quite a ways away across Western Avenue and further back before you even see it because of the angle to look into the middle of the building. In terms, actually, I'm going to switch, and I'm, again, not positive what's coming up, okay? In terms of how that height of that building is going to affect around surrounding buildings, the closest residential unit to that building is over 210 feet away. The only building that's closer than that is directly across Western Avenue, which is the, I believe it's a furniture building, Northern Mattress, is 120 feet away. Everything else is over 200 feet away from the building. Giving you a view from Western Avenue with a drive-through. As I said, the building has very soft corners. It should be very iconic when you're coming out of the Rotary or when you're coming down Western Avenue. I think it will be, a real plus and an icon for Augusta as well as for Kennebec Savings. This gives you kind of a flyover. This will give you a look at some of the parking that Jim was referring to. But it really shows you the space around the building. It's not crowding anything. Ample parking, ample green space. Were we to try to do this 2 stories shorter, the footprint, if we were to fulfill the needs of the bank, the footprint would grow by 7,000 or 8,000 square feet, which takes away green space, eliminates 22 parking spaces where we'd have to find another place for those. So I think, as happens in many successful cities, as you start building more offices downtown, the real estate gets more valuable in terms of, where are we going to put everything, and which is why we start to go higher, preserve more green space, and keep more space away from the building.
Before he moves on, can I ask him a question?
This gives you a little shot of how the summer and winter shadows go. In the summer, there's actually almost no shadows cast on anything. It goes from Western Avenue south, you can see, and really does nothing on any other buildings. As a matter of fact, towards the end of the day, the other buildings start to hit this building. In the winter, most of your sun is coming from across Western Avenue, and actually, after 8 in the morning, ours hits nothing, and we start to get hit by the Western Avenue buildings. So it shouldn't pose any problems to other buildings in terms of shadowing, other than Kennebec's own building beside it. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I think everybody else has covered most everything about the building, but fire away. I'm happy to.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant at large, too? Go ahead, Bob.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I appreciated the fact that so many buildings were listed, showing how many were 85 feet, 86 feet. 70 feet, having those addresses and everything else, that would help me understand that comparison, because that was my question coming up. Does it really need to be 86 feet
Right,
for a
right.
bank that's
Yeah.
out there? And I can understand why they need it.
Yeah, it's mostly about land use with how much space they need. It's really the best way of using that
It
lot.
helped me anyway.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? It was a very thorough presentation, but had by all. All right. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak for the project? Is there anybody who would like to speak against the project? Is there anybody who would like to speak neither for nor against? All right, that closes the public hearing portion. Bob? Oh, Allison, did you
Betsy,
have?
I actually, Betsy,
It's okay.
Emily, I actually did. I didn't realize that we were quickly ending up with everyone all at once. I thought we were going to come back and say, now are there questions individually? So
Okay,
I
I just
do
said
have
the
some-
applicant at large.
Yes.
So,
and
so
I
you
didn't
still have some
understand that.
questions?
Yes,
Okay.
so I do still have some
Yes.
questions. And I'm not sure who could address the tunnel, only because I find it fascinating, and it's the first one we've ever had, to my knowledge, since I've been on the planning board. And I'd just like a little bit of a description, and I think people in the audience would, if there is one, would be interested in that.
We wanted to try to connect both buildings because essentially, I'm not sure that Craig necessarily hit this, but we are moving all of our customer-facing activity to the new building. And the existing structure that we are in today will become more back office activities. So we want staff to be able to get to the other facility. Unfortunately, it's winter in Maine. It's a long process, and lighting and all of that becomes an issue. And so the ability to put that in. And Jim can speak to this, but essentially you are using,
A 10 by 10 box culvert, if you will, with it, and there's actually natural sunlight. There's a little porthole if you'll, in one of the islands that allows sunlight to come down.
Is that what that picture was?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was, yeah,
so they put culverts together and glue them together.
That was it.
great. All right. Oh, I see. Yeah, it is
That's
there.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's probably not the right terminology. We are looking to put a doghouse, for lack of a better description, it's probably not the right description, on the side of the 1990 building, and that does need to go to the historic, because that is in the historic district, and they will help us with that. But essentially, it's just brick structure that'll be the stairwell that comes out an existing doorway, goes down into the tunnel, and then over to the new building, and comes into the basement of the new building, next to the employee elevator that they can then get up to the upper floors if necessary. So by using culverts, it's quite a bit less expensive than it used to be in the old days.
But we still have to provide insulation like it's a building, if you will, with the R-48 on top and all that good stuff.
Great.
Bob?
So it's somewhat like the State House and the tunnel that they have up there. You're only going to be the second one with the tunnel in the city of Augusta, right?
Exactly. It's-
Probably a
it's
better
just
one,
really
too.
neat.
Yeah.
It's really nice, yeah. Okay.
Allison, does?
Yes, I do have questions for Jim.
Great.
Yes. Jim, I need some help with the parking.
Sure.
The corner of the parking between Chapel Street and Western Avenue does not flow logically to me.
I got to get there first.
Yeah, I'll let you get there.
Right in that area here, Allison?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, actually down further, where the Western Avenue egress is.
Right there?
Yeah, you see where that arrow is going the wrong way? And I'm saying the wrong way because the traffic, the primary traffic, as I look at it, is going to flow from Chapel Street into parking and over to the drive-through.
Correct.
You've got an arrow going the other way at
So-
the basement of that.
You're talking about this arrow right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, wait, yeah, well, I can't tell with that hand if that's it or not. It's a black arrow up underneath the pink. One more,
Yeah, I think she's talking about where you're at, Jim.
Can you point to that?
I think she's talking about right here.
Yeah.
Right where you're at.
Oh, yeah, that's the exit out onto Western Avenue, exit only.
nope, I'll show you.
Okay, please do.
This arrow. What the hell is that
Yeah, I mean, you could eliminate that, but I mean, it allows you to have the flow, and if you don't find a space here, you come back that way and
Yeah.
go. It is enough room to do that turning movement, but you're right.
But it's, you're not the first bank to bring this up. But
No.
it doesn't make logical sense to me to have somebody trying to go the wrong way.
Allison, it's really not needed for us, and if it would, we could definitely remove that if you want us to, okay?
If anyone else noticed that, it bothers me, and I know we've dealt with it and did ask the other bank to.
I certainly want you to be happy with this project.
How long is how long is the stack distance for the Western Avenue exit,
The queue?
the queue?
So you can get 5 or 6 cars in the queue alongside the building, and then you only have a one-laner there that might hold another 5 before you get to that. So you're gonna have 5 times 4, which is 20, plus another 5, which is gonna give you 25.
Okay, that's the drive-through, right?
Correct.
I was talking about the Western Avenue exit from that parking corner.
Oh, how big is that queue?
Yeah, how many people can be in that
One at a
queue?
time.
One at a time?
Yep. But if you look at it, I mean, they're gonna be protected by the islands while they're waiting to get out of there anyway. If they're coming straight down, and if they're coming from the left, the same thing, they're just waiting to take a right out of there.
I guess, given the proximity of the problem crosswalk at Chapel Street, that Diane brought up, the high accident rate with the 3 people that were hit in the crosswalk there,
Correct.
I have some concern about having an egress point onto Western Avenue that close to that
I'm gonna let
corner.
Diane talk about that, because this is her baby.
Okay.
The numbers that are projected to use that exit are pretty small. And this was all based on the existing patterns going in and out of the bank, but that number was bumped up because it is close to Western Avenue. But we're in the peak, at the highest hour, which is the PM peak hour when people are leaving, we're talking about 18 vehicles in the entire hour. So, you know, 1 vehicle every 3 or 4 minutes. So you're not gonna have a queue there, because it's a right turn. They can only take a right
Right,
turn, and they've
right.
got 2 lanes to turn into, so it shouldn't be any queuing or any issue at all.
So,
And it was moved further, the original drive or right turn out, yeah.
Right here was the
Ah.
original.
Right, so, and now it's been relocated further away from the rotary exit, because we didn't want people coming off the rotary to
Yeah.
possibly come upon somebody coming out. So somebody coming out will have a good amount of visibility back towards the rotary to see when they've got a gap. So, and it just
Okay.
makes sense, because otherwise you're putting those people that are trying to go that direction on Western Avenue, they're gonna have to go back into the site, out Chapel Street, and then down, and then enter Western Avenue there. So it's a lot more movement for those people that are just trying to go up Western Avenue.
yep, okay, I understand, and I had not thought about the distance from Memorial Circle, which is
Right,
the other
it's-
area.
Yeah, it's been relocated
That's
further
great.
away.
Okay.
Originally, Allison, this building right here was actually over in there, and we were trying to funnel everyone around this side for the drive-ups.
Yeah,
And this was just a suicide mission,
Yeah,
waiting to
I'm
get
sure.
rear-ended off Western
Yeah,
Avenue.
yeah, I'm
It was
sure.
pretty bad.
yeah, yeah, okay,
We spent a long time on planning the site to make it work.
yep.
Anything else?
No, just that little black arrow, if you could, oh, someone else may have.
Kathy
Sorry.
does.
There was a lot to unpack in the discussion on parking. And I'm looking at the other side of State Street where the employees park.
Yeah.
And have you already decided how much property is going to go to Parkhurst?
Yes, we have. It's written right on your plan. It's .179 acres on this piece, and then the bank is retaining .78 acres. So here's the property lines right here. I'm doing it with that hand, if you
Okay.
can.
And has there been any provisions for parking on
Yeah.
that?
These
that
5
site?
spaces right here go with the house. They're gonna have a parking easement on the bank's property. So those 5 were not counted in our calculation whatsoever,
Okay.
just so you know.
Any other questions? Yep.
And there was discussion in the package about leasing out some space. I understand that that's the Grange building.
Nope, the Grange is completely off the table on this project. It has nothing to do with this.
Okay,
I-
so
I-
it's space in the original bank building?
Yes, I think Andrew wants to talk about that just a little.
I'd like him to.
Mr. Parkhurst, who is purchasing the lot where the 15 Western Avenue white building was moved to, wanted the smallest lot possible. And so he has agreed to, well, we collectively have agreed to lease him the 5 spaces for that particular lot. So that's what the leasing of the lots is referring to.
I thought there was leasing of some of the office building.
Sorry, I apologize, I misunderstood. In 1990, when we built the building, we leased the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor. The bank wasn't big enough at the time. And as we move all of those customer-facing activities to the new building, there is the possibility that we might come back and put that back into leasing the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor, but no decision has been made about that.
So you've asked for a parking waiver based on your plans to move your staff to the new building and continue to use that other building for certain bank-related functions. And now we're talking about 2 more floors that potentially have no access to parking based on your desire to have a parking waiver for your purposes. So where would you propose those?
There aren't 2 more floors.
Pardon?
There aren't 2 more floors.
I thought you said that 2nd and 3rd floor.
Of the 1990
Yes,
building that
that's
is
what I'm talking
existing.
about.
There are either our employees in there, or there would be somebody leasing that would be the same.
So you'd have to make, if a non-related business went in and leased that, what would the arrangement be for their parking? Because you need 192 for your business.
So the parking calculations were based upon that building being all office space, and it doesn't really matter whether it's somebody leasing that space or their employees using that space. The parking calculations included that original building and all of that square footage as office space.
I think
So
I'd
that's
like
what the
to
calculations
have
were
that
based
clarified
upon.
as a finding,
Sure,
if we could.
sure. Thank you. So, all Kathy said is just, if the board chooses to approve, that we'll just clarify that that parking
As a finding.
is for whomever, for the lot itself at large, not just
Even
business
if the
specific.
tenant changes.
So-
There are spaces there for that space,
Right.
just parking
That's
spaces
right.
for that
Yeah.
quantity of building, if you will.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, Bob, what do you think of the project?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, we already did the public hearing part, so
Is that
we
our
kind of,
last word?
we did that. Yeah, that was your last word for now. So, all right, Bob.
I'm totally impressed by the package put together. I've always been impressed with Convex Savings. I have never had a problem with the landscaping that they put out there and maintain. And I think this is a good project for the city of Augusta and Convex Savings.
Thank you. Kathy?
Like I said, there was a lot to unpack, but, I'm in favor of the project. My concern was basically making sure all our bases were covered to warrant the waivers that were requested.
Thank you. Harold?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. Well-designed building. I think it will make a pretty big statement on Weston Avenue. So good luck.
Thank you. Allison?
I'm definitely in favor of the project.
Thank you. Kevin?
I think Kennebec Savings Bank has been a great community partner for the city, and I think this project will be great for us.
Thank you. And Nate?
I am definitely in favor of the project. It's definitely a well-thought-out, well-put-together project.
All right, we just need a motion.
I'll give it a try.
All right, let's see.
In the matter of the application submitted by Kennebec Savings Bank, Pursuant to the provisions of the City of Augusta Land Use Ordinance, the City of Augusta Planning Board has considered the application of Kennebec Savings Bank, including supportive data, staff review comments, public hearing testimony, and related materials contained in the record. The Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. The applicant proposes constructing a new building with offices and financial services, including 4 drive-through lanes. The building has a footprint of 6,745 square feet, and the height will total 86 feet, which exceeds the 56-foot height allowed in the KBD2 district. A waiver has been requested to allow the proposed height. Vehicular access points from State Street will remain unchanged. The two-way access from Chapel Street will be located closer to Western Avenue. There will be only one exit to Western Avenue, which will be right turn only. The parking will be configured to accommodate those working in both the existing and the new building, as well as customers. Required number of parking spaces for the proposal is 212. Kennebec Savings Bank is asking for a parking reduction waiver to reduce the number of spaces provided to 174. A reduction in setbacks is required for underground stormwater structures along Western Avenue. A waiver has been requested. A retaining wall proposed along Western Avenue will require review by the Maine Department of Transportation and approval by the Director of Development Services. The applicant and owner is Kennebec Savings Bank, who has right title interest as detailed in the draft motion. The project is located at 145 and 150 State Street, found on Tax Map 33, Lot 241, and Tax Map 33, Lot 135, respectively. A third parcel included in the application is located at 15 Western Ave, found on Map 33, Lot 148. The zoning is varied. Lots 241, 135, and 148 are within the Kennebec District 2 district, KBD2. Lot 135 is also located in the Institute Business Professional Subdistrict, BP, and the Medium Density Residential District, RB2. Lots 135 and 241 are also located in the Winthrop Street Historic District, which is an overlay. The existing and proposed land uses are finance, insurance, and real estate services permitted in BP, services, parking lot, which are permitted in KBD2 but not in RB2. Based on the information before the Planning Board, including both the findings of fact and conclusions of law detailed in the staff review, applicant submittals, and testimony, and all other related materials contained in the record, I move to approve this application with these additional findings. A reduction in front setback for underground stormwater management features is permitted in the KBD2 district, as the features are not visible on the ground surface. This setback is for the design shown on the plans as permissible through the conditional use review process 300-603. An increase in building height in the KBD2 district has been granted not to exceed a height of 86 feet as permissible through the conditional use review process 300-603. A parking study was submitted and a waiver from the required parking of 212 spaces to 174 proposed spaces is supported by the city engineer. The planning board grants the waiver. 4, it is important to note that the parking was figured on full occupancy in all of the bank's buildings. The following conditions shall be met prior to issuance of a permit from the Code Enforcement Bureau in order to satisfy the land use criteria and planning board requirements. 1, approval of the landscaping plan by planning staff for compliance with ordinance standards per 300-502C7A1 and 300-603E6F. Issuance of an historic preservation certificate per 300-603E1A4. Issuance of the stormwater permit from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, 300-603E4D. Additional sidewalk connectivity is required at Chapel Street, State Street, and Chandler Street. The design shall be reviewed and approved by city staff per 300-603E_ed. The project shall commence within 2 years of this approval and shall be substantially completed within 5 years of the date of the planning board decision unless a permit extension has been granted by the board. Deviation from this approval is subject to code enforcement action and potential legal proceedings per section 300-601 of the land use ordinance. However, I did forget the condition that Betsy mentioned. So for a fifth condition, Any work done in the right-of-way must be approved by the city engineer.
Kathy?
I have a couple of friendly amendments.
Sure.
To offer. One on the conditions would be to remove Allison's entry or exit, whichever that was, on Weston Avenue.
Okay. I figured since we talked about it, it was okay, but I'm fine. That,
And under the findings, the applicant agreed during the meeting to add a fire hydrant if necessary.
that's fine. And you understand about the arrow? I do. Okay, got it. I'm fine with those additions. It's
Arrow.
It's a little arrow.
And an additional, I think is an important thing for us to discuss, is the parking on Chapel Street that impedes the site
Yeah,
turning onto.
We can't control that, though. That's not within our purview. Betsy says
But I
that.
understood that it affected the sight lines coming out of that
It
exit
does.
and entrance.
It does, but it
And-
still isn't something we control. Right?
Correct.
Betsy said it will go to the appropriate people, but we can't, we don't have authority over that particular
Can we make a
piece.
note of it then in the findings, that city staff will pursue?
What do you think, Betsy? Is
Or
that
is it
necessary?
understood?
Or is that understood?
And see, I think my understanding is that I don't think there would be a site issue with the parking still being there on Chapel Street, but it would be improved if the parking was not there. Is that, Tyler's shaking his head, yes. So, I mean, I think the project could pass with the parking not being changed, but it would
Okay,
be
so
a
as long
better
as the sight line
situation.
is adequate. Okay.
Yes, okay, that's what everybody's shaking yes, so.
So we don't need that then?
So no additional language,
Okay.
it's
I
understood?
think they can pursue with the traffic calming committee the change to the parking out there. I'm on the traffic calming committee. I know that request is coming. So yeah, that'll be happening kind of parallel outside of the planning board.
Those were the only things that I wanted to.
Anything else we forgot? Bob?
I second the motion.
Oh, sorry, Emily.
Nope, that's good, yeah. So, all in favor?
Did we go through everybody?
Oh,
Yeah, we did.
yep,
Okay.
before
Okay.
the motion was made, we went
Okay.
through everybody, yep.
Yeah, so try
So
that again.
now all in favor? Good, all right, congrats, you're welcome.
Nice job. That was a tough
Yes,
project.
good job, good project.
Betsy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. They mentioned that they may be coming back in the future. What will they be coming back for so soon?
The rezone of the
Okay.
KBD2 park.
So we don't need to keep any of this stuff for that. Very good, thank you.
Good clarification.
It looks nice, we're looking forward to it.
So, this, oh, great. I'm going to just keep these. Betsy, there's no problem. I have some neighbors who'd like to look at these. No problem, now that we're all done with this, right?
Is it something you said everybody reads?
Yeah. We knew what everyone was here for.
All right, so I guess we'll power forward here.
Yes.
Okay, so the last item on the agenda is a public hearing. It's text amendments for the land use ordinance to definitions of subdivision and accessory dwelling unit, which includes standards of development to comply with state law. So this is an item that the planning board has talked about multiple times. But in relation to, this was something that we could kind of of all the state law changes for housing and how they relate to the ordinance, this was the easiest one to do, so we kind of move forward with this one first. There's still a lot more to do.
You said this was the easiest?
This is the easy, this, yes,
Most
trust me, this is
straightforward.
the, yes.
Most straightforward,
Most
yeah.
straightforward, we'll say, whatever. So the thought was that I was just gonna kind of stack these up together and like send it all as one package to city council. But, when the state law, so there've been a couple changes to state laws in regards to housing, and it shifted the time frame of when the city needs to have the changes made in our ordinance. And so there are definitely there's 3 local contractors that I know of, maybe more, who were really hoping that some of these changes happened July 1st, and the deadline was pushed back. So the city can change our rules sooner than July 1st of next year. So these changes would allow for some additional duplexes to be constructed in the city and hopefully break ground before winter. So we decided we're going to push these amendments forward as the planning board has discussed a little for subdivision and ADUs, in the hope that it will help some of these local contractors and builders to get some more housing in the city. So the changes primarily would be allowing, say, 2 duplexes on one lot to happen without having to go to the planning board for subdivision approval. So there's just a much lower requirement of coming to see us. I tell everybody we're very friendly and easy to work with, but I mean, still, there's a lot of paperwork and additional work that is required for these contractors to do the subdivision process. When really, at that type of project, could easily be reviewed just by code enforcement. So I've put together a memo for you all, which shows those updates that we've already talked about for the definition of subdivision. So it will allow for the division of a new structure or structures on a tract or parcel of land into 5 or more dwelling units is where the threshold would be for subdivision instead of 3. So as I said, you could put 2 duplexes or 4 single families all on one lot and not have subdivision review. So that was one change which we've already discussed. Some of these other red lines and green lines in here are just making our definition match what the state definition is, just for simplicity, but it's just shifting around a bunch of words, basically. And then the other thing that the planning board had already talked about for definitions was for ADUs, which would be to allow an accessory dwelling unit not only to be on a located within, attached or detached from a one-family dwelling, but to allow that to be for any dwelling. So ADUs would be able to also be allowed on properties that have a multifamily on it, say. So it might trigger subdivision, but it's probably unlikely that an 8-unit, it could happen, might want to add an ADU because they don't have enough land for density, lot size, or on-site parking. It could be possible. So this is just giving a lot more opportunity for ADUs in the city. The state also did say that they didn't want ADUs to be permitted on a lot or a portion of a lot within the 100-year flood zone, which kind of makes sense. So that change is in here as well. So those are all ones that we've already talked about at previous meetings. In addition, what I have added in, I gave to the board were some changes for the City of Augusta ordinance for major and minor subdivisions. So that updating our ordinance for that as well would help get a little more match a little better with the state subdivision definition, and also eliminate some barriers possibly for subdivisions. So right now we have a minor subdivision and major subdivision. So a minor subdivision a subdivision involving the development without a street, but with the creation of fewer than 6 lots or units, and a major subdivision is 6 or more lots or units and with the development of a street. When you look through our application, which I've provided to you all, it's the same thing that you're submitting. So whether it's major or minor, we don't really need to make that distinction in the ordinance. If a road is going to be required and somebody wants to do a public or private road, we're going to work with Tyler, make sure it meets the design standards, and they can, if they want to, dedicate it to, ask the city if they want to accept it as a public street. You know, that it doesn't need to be specified as one or the other in the ordinance. So the proposal would be to eliminate major and minor. Anything that is meeting the definitions would still be reviewed by the planning board. But, you know, so that would be one thing. And then the other thing, there's 2 zoning districts in the city that make distinction of lot size at whether it's a major or a minor subdivision would change the size of the lot, or whether there's open space or not. So those are Rural Residential District and Rural River 2 District. So I didn't put all the standards for these in this memo. I just clipped out the ones that would be changing. So basically, the red and green lines, so a single development, and it used to be and minor subdivision, but I'm changing it to just say a subdivision which does not involve construction of a street would have one set of lot sizes, and if a subdivision included road construction, it would have a different set of lot sizes and the open space. So we're not modifying the requirements in that district. I'm just, since we eliminated the text for major and minor, it was trying to keep those standards as they are in those districts for now. Everything's going to change in a few months, but we can't do that yet.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get this moving forward. Another change, there was a distinction for major subdivisions and the groundwater protection standards. So I recommended eliminating the text that says major subdivisions, and so just all subdivisions would allow for the planning board to make, to apply groundwater standards applicable to mobile home manufactured housing parks. So I think if there was some concerns about groundwater quality based on a subdivision, the planning board could say, we want to have a study, you need to do it this way. But it's unlikely that's going to occur with a small subdivision anyway. And then the other thing to change was the notification radius. So we have major subdivision requiring 2,000, sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, 2,000-foot notification radius in the planned development or rural districts. So the proposal was to eliminate that major subdivision distinction for 2,000 feet. So it would revert back to, it would just be a subdivision would be either 500 feet or 1,000 feet if it was going to the planning board, if it's in the urban area or not. And I think that's, oh, and the other thing was that there's some, in the Code of Ordinances, there's Chapter 245 called Subdivision of Land, which, according to our Director of Development Services, Matt Nazar, that all should have been repealed back around 1990 or so when we changed, kind of combined the land use ordinance and subdivision and shoreland zoning and all the zoning all together. So this has some outdated references that we don't use anymore. Planning board can't do anything about this because it's in the Code of Ordinances, but I wanted you all to know about it and that this could be a recommendation for council to look at as part of their redo of the process. As I said, I provided you all with a subdivision review application for your reference. You don't need to do anything with those changes. That's just a staff document for people to use. So I can make these changes if you all are, if council makes these changes to the rules. So the planning board, I don't know if you have any questions about this. Then the process would be to make a recommendation to council, and council would be having an informational meeting and 2 readings typically, and then a vote. So if any of these changes go through, you know, kind of as quickest pace possible, maybe the end of September, these changes could be in place, and it could help some of those builders in the community. That's it.
Kathy, yeah.
I kind of, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I kind of did what I do with the minutes on this document. And on the housing one on page 3, I think you need to delete another A on the D6, because you have an A on both sides of something that was crossed out. I think you just need to delete another A.
Oh, I see what you mean. A separate lot does not create
Second
a
line.
lot. Or
Where?
Page 3,
Well, no, that-
D6.
D6.
I don't think that makes sense. But in that same line, I have an extra that. Do you see that?
Well, I saw that
So
too.
D6 was what?
A division
Oh,
and then you have your red line, your first red line you come to, you have A, red line A.
Delete one of either the A before or the A after.
oh. Huh, okay. Yep, got it.
And on page 4, the last big green paragraph, I found the punctuation in there very confusing.
It's probably because the state wrote it. No, just
The
kidding.
state
Is
wrote
this,
it.
is this right out of the, is this right out of the statute?
I could confirm that.
Well, just as an example, say, as used in this paragraph, holders, either a governmental body empowered to hold an interest in real property under the laws of this state or the United States, semicolon, or a nonprofit corporation, blah, 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 and then there's another semicolon with no and or. So I was confused as to whether or not, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging me, my minutes review.
Did you think that was okay, or did we need to eliminate one
I
of
didn't
those?
understand it with the punctuation the way it was.
Okay, that land, that in D6?
Uh,
No, where we were before, where you were
No,
talking about
I'm
the
on
A.
page 4.
Yep, but I'm going back now to where you were before, on D6.
We dealt with that one.
No, there's a,
Oh,
I
the
found
that?
the
I
that.
actually reread it.
I did too, and I tried to decide if that made sense or not.
Well, I said delete, and then I went back and said delete, so maybe I went back and decided my first response was probably the correct one, that should go.
The second that should
The
go.
That, yep.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry to talk about other edits while you're researching.
She's trying. Well,
I know.
does it have all those same weird things in it?
This is our D6.
No, that's
Oh,
your,
this is the
your
page
paragraph you asked about.
The last page.
Yeah.
Well, not the last page, but page 4.
Betsy, the second
It's
line.
possible I typed it
The
wrong.
second line in D6 has two that's in it, abutting that land that does not create. I think the second that has to go. We read it, both Kathy and I read it several times and thought that it did need to go.
Should be the first one.
And I have one more question when, are you still reviewing that, Kathy?
I'm still reviewing the punctuation, and
Okay.
I'm trying to reconcile her green paragraph and what's in statute.
Is it different?
Well, they don't start out the same way, so I'm trying to figure out where they intersect. It says it's either a governmental body empowered to hold an interest in real property under the laws of the state or the United States, semicolon, or a nonprofit. I'm trying to find the language about.
Allison, did you have a question in the meantime while
Yeah.
Kathy does her line?
Yeah, I
item?
do. Betsy,
I can't find it in what she gave me.
this is a question based on my experience too that I
Right,
shared
but
with you
it's
in my
it's not
email.
even the same language.
But where the accessory dwelling unit, where 1 and 2 family dwellings is now changed to residential use, is on a lot, we can have an ADU,
Okay.
okay? If that lot is on Togus, and the lot is already too small, can they still put an ADU on there?
So the requirements for shoreland zoning for the amount of land for a dwelling unit apply in shoreland zoning. So you would need to have 40,000 square feet of land for a dwelling. So even though it's an ADU, it's still a dwelling, so you'd need to have 80,000 square feet of land to have an accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, but a lot of these little tiny lots on Togus are not 40,000 feet.
So they would not be able to have an ADU.
So that's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
That's it, okay.
I've, Colin Clark at the state DEP has done some trainings with code enforcement officers and has reinforced that fact, you know? So it's not
Good.
just you need enough extra septic capacity or something.
Yeah, good.
You're gonna need the shore frontage and the amount of,
extra lake.
yes.
Yeah, and the setback that's now 100 feet or whatever it is.
Correct. So it could be possible to add an ADU on a lot, but you're gonna need a decent-sized lot to be able to do that.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Betsy, I'm not able to compare this paragraph that I have a question about the punctuation
Okay.
with this, so I'd just ask that you take a look to make sure that the punctuation in the green is,
Reads like the
matches
state's-
state law?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Matches the state punctuation? Is that, I could do
And
that.
under the minor and major subdivision review, on the second page, under air and water quality standards, it still refers to major developments, which we still have. I just want to clarify that we still have major
Correct.
developments.
Yes,
And then we have the major crossed out for subdivisions.
yes,
And then under the next section on conditional uses,
yes.
under B, notices shall be given to the following. What is that subsection 3?
I clipped out, so the first one is probably to the city council, to the Board of Zoning Appeals, is probably number 1. Number 2 is to the newspapers. Number 3 is to abutters.
Okay, so there's other language that
Yep,
goes in between
I
there.
just clipped out only the parts that was
Okay.
changing, yeah.
That may have been it. I think that was it. And so even though the date is back to January of '26 on the housing updates, we can still put that language in there. That's not going to impact any projects that we've approved since January.
I can confirm with Corporation Council on the date of those,
Okay.
what
I
should
just-
be in
I
there.
just raised that as a
Yep.
question with that retroactive date. And I'll give you back your statutory language.
Does anyone have any other questions on the information?
That was all mine.
No? All right. Bob?
I move that we pass this recommendation on to the city council.
Yeah, so I think I still have to ask the public.
Oh, we are in public hearing, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Pardon me.
That's okay. So if no more questions here, is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak for the project?
There's nobody here.
Yeah. There isn't anybody here. Do I have to be, anyway, against the project or neither for nor against, please
Speak it
come
all.
now. All right, closes the public hearing portion. Harold, what do you think?
I'm good with it.
All right, Allison,
I'm good with it with the recommendations that Betsy's going to follow up on for the state language.
Kathy,
I'm
Good
good.
with those verifications?
Kevin,
There you go.
I'm good with it.
all right, Bob,
I'm good with it.
Nate,
I'm good with it.
all right, now Bob.
I move that we pass the recommendation as amended and as Betsy recommended on to city council.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor? Very good, thank you. Now we're on to the meeting minutes.
I think they're fine.
Wow,
He
I know.
Are you feeling
Not
okay?
quite, not quite.
I
found
haven't
one.
been ill.
Page 3.
Oh, Kathy missed
Sorry.
something?
Nathan Levesque speaks at the top speech at the top of the columns of speakers. It says, "We've heard multiple neighbors come to use with concerns," and I think it has come to us with concerns.
Oh,
All right, I win, I win. That's it.
Oh my goodness. Did anybody else find anything?
I move we accept the minutes as amended.
I second it.
Very good, all in favor. Now Harold.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait.
Are
Oh,
we having a meeting, second meeting in July?
Yes.
I got an
just
email
the
from Eva.
All
Agenda,
right,
Yeah.
I already got the email with the
the
agenda.
agenda just came.
yeah.
Okay.
What's the
All right,
date?
All right.
The
Now
28th.
Harold, carry on.
My wayward son. Motion to adjourn.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor. Very good.